today we're going to do a video. I'm going to compare displays, resolution, noise, etc. And so this radio here, I'm going to show you guys something that I thought was kind of interesting. They come shipped without the RF gain turned up all the way. And what caught my attention about that was that the guy said about one of the videos, he said, well, you had like S3 noise on the radio with the dummy load or nothing connected to it. And I thought about it, it was like, yeah. So we should check all these other radios and see what do they read with nothing hooked to them. Okay, right now I'm hooked to the antenna though. So if I went down here and I went to the dummy load, am I going to have any kind of noise? I don't have any. Okay, now if we disconnect the antenna, are we going to have any noise? No. We got nothing. Sure, I remember this. I don't really want this stuff on the bottom here. But anyway. So there's no noise. But when you take a radio like this one, and you have the RF gain, we'll just crank it all the way up, right? So we're seeing S5 noise. So I'm wondering if that's like an accident that they did. But when it was shipped to me, it was turned down to like 60 something. So at 60, we don't really see any noise, and I would say that a lot of the spikes aren't going to be as bad either. It's when it does this, you're sort of moving around the local oscillator. So I had a very early kind of homebrew software-defined radio. It used the ft710 something or other, and it's an oscillator, and it makes noise, but it's your local oscillator, and that ft7 is controlled by USB, and it goes into a board, and then the board that I had was called the Avala 01, and it was like a 5 or 10 watt QRP board. You could put different finals on it, but it used an I and a Q, which this also has. And so that I and Q went to your sound card in your computer, and that was how the deal was done. But you were able to see the oscillator on here, so there was a certain way to like hide the oscillator, and that's what this thing's doing, I think. Because we can see it over here, but when we tune to it, it moves around us. And that's fine. But yeah, if you didn't do that, you would see a spike where the oscillator was generating the LO. So anyway, this radio has lots of birdies and everything, but it's really, I like it. I like the display. And I mean, it's not, I think it's not very well shielded. I'm wondering what it's picking up. Well, I'm also next to that. That can't help, right? But, so I wanted to do some comparisons. So we are, we don't want the ATU on. Let's go ahead and turn this off. Oh, that's interesting. So, this is why I think that a tuner should always be in line. You can hear that noise disappears with the tuner on. That's because the tuner acts as a filter. Because people just don't really get this. Anything that tunes the transmit also tunes the receive. It's going to optimize it. It's also going to have a high and a low cutoff. You know, there's only going to be so much bandwidth. So you're going to lower and upper frequencies will be attenuated. So any outside band interference, broadcast interference, it's going to be less. But if you don't have any kind of tuner on receive, then you lose those benefits. And that's what my complaint is with all the latest Yaesus. They do not do that. They've adopted basically an LDG Z100 tuner in this stupid thing. It's not even automatic. It doesn't protect you. It won't automatically tune if things get bad. These old ICOMs, most of them, if suddenly your SWR got bad, or, you changed bands, or whatever, it would automatically correct it for you. And if there was a problem, it would continue to automatically try to correct it, and then it would kick itself off. But these don't do that. But anyway, so with the tuner off, we hear more noise. But the other thing, that's just normal. So this radio has lots of the little birdies and all that, and I've heard every single suggestion. Don't run the battery, disconnect the battery, run it on external battery only. Ray Doherty told me, turn the RF gain down, turn the attenuator on, and run an external battery. I'm like, no, what the hell is the point? Why would I do that? But I didn't realize that it was generating so much gain that it was, bad. So, if we have this radio here, and there isn't anything hooked to it, and we turn off the IPO, and we go to amp 2, do we generate noise? We don't have any increase on the meter. Which is kind of interesting, but... So, with this one here, if we turn the preamp on, I'm sure it's probably going to bring it up. And I don't understand why that would be, because there's no signal there. There's nothing coming in, but I guess it must be you're amplifying internal noises. But maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, comparing the two displays on these radios, I think they're both a 4-inch display. And it looks like this one's taller. If we didn't have these buttons down here. But we have them here, so that part is buttons anyways. This is not touchscreen. I don't really care for touchscreen, but it is kind of nice. It's not something that I prefer. I'd actually rather not, because then you can keep the screen clean. No fingerprints and stuff like that. But I think you could pretty much operate this radio without ever using the touch screen for the most part. Except for the band. You wouldn't be able to select the band. I think even in the band, I think you can, you can do this too, but let's see. Yeah, so if we use the function key, we can change the band. Okay, anyway, so what I wanted to kind of try and do was compare the resolution, I guess, maybe. Let's grab this here. Carefully set it here. So this, if we put it maybe a little bit more. So it goes from there. So it's a little bit longer. I think the height might be a little bit bigger altogether, but it's pretty comparable. I mean, if you look at the two of them. And what I really like about this radio is the backlit keys. I wish they would do that on more radios. You know, imagine this radio with all the keys being like that backlit. That would be awesome. You know, I wish radio companies would like ask hams, hey, what are some features that you really look for in a radio? And maybe they do ask people, but I never hear about it. I've never heard anybody talk about it. So they just make whatever they want to make, and they say, I wonder if this will sell. Let's make this. But back in the 70s, Yaesu came out with the 101, and the hams told them what they wanted and what needed to be fixed and all that, and they did it. But that doesn't happen anymore, as far as I know. So, can we not come out with, like, you know, a 20-watt radio like this with the battery in the tuner, or no battery? I don't need the internal battery in it, but, like, I want, like, a portable radio. But I know with the technology we have, there's no reason this can't be a 20-watt radio, 5 or 10 watts on battery, double the battery up, make the radio that much thicker. You should see what the battery looks like in this thing. It's really, really small. They totally could have put a little bit more in there, and it wouldn't have been a big deal. Okay? No, I don't mind running an external battery, but it kind of defeats the idea here of, like, this thing actually has its own microphone, so you don't even need the mic. You can hold it with like a walkie-talkie and talk on the damn thing. But I think that they, you know, could make a lot more money if it was capable of, you know, more power on the external battery. And that there's no reason that couldn't be done. I mean, you know, just different finals in there, you know. I mean, maybe they need to do a little bit more for heat dissipation. There's no fan inside of this thing, so that's another thing that could easily bump everything up quite a bit, is just add a fan, you know, and it'd only be applicable for higher power when you're hooked to the battery, you know, the external battery, so it wouldn't really be an issue. There's lots of things that could be done. I mean, like with the technology we have today, it's, you know, crazy what we can do, but, you know, all they need to do was just make the radio just a little bit thicker to bring it out to here. I don't think anybody would cry or complain. You know, they wouldn't even notice unless you told them. So, I do like the design, but I don't like the new one they came out with. It just, first of all, they have like, this one looks metal, the other one looks plastic, and I bought this because I'm like, they might discontinue these. And I probably should have waited because they're on sale right now. They're like $4.90 something. And they were $5.45 when I got mine. And they're like $4.92 or something right now on Amazon. And the Amazon price is the same as the price you're going to get it from anybody else. You know, whereas that's not necessarily the case. If you were to go buy a 710 on Amazon, it's going to be like $1,200 instead of $899. But if I was a brand new ham and I wanted to buy a radio and I was choosing between the two of these, there's no way I would even consider this at all. Not even a chance. This is a nightmare for a new ham. Absolutely, unless you're just going to listen. This is going to frustrate you so badly because you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to operate. Nobody's going to hear you. You're not going to be heard on the lower bands. And, you know, this is a portable radio. This is made for, you know, contacts with people that are interested in contacting portable stations. If you try and break into some rag-chew group on 80 meters with this radio, they're going to be upset because if they do hear you, they're not going to hear you very well. So this would be a good radio for portable. Maybe doing some work on some of the nets and things like that. And that's really about it. You know, the idea of buying this and then buying an amplifier for it is backwards. Absolutely backwards. There's no reason to do it. unless you're going to do multiple different things. So you would be far better off to order this radio at 7300, an FTDX10, anything that does 100 watts if you're a new ham, before you ever buy this. Because with this, the amp for it is $500 and something. The radio is $500 and something. And, now you've got like a bunch of extra stuff, where it could have all been in one box like this. And the radio has birdies, and it has spurs, and it's not perfect. And this is pretty much ironed out. Like, they knew what the hell they were doing. I don't know how good the receiver is on this, because I haven't really seriously compared it. But, I mean, like, in general, most radios are, like, really about the same. Unless you're doing a Sherwood test on it, you're not really going to, go and switch from one radio to another on a weak station and be able to hear them a million times better on one than another. And I do it all the time. I get on 20 meters and I'll hear like a weak DX station with an accent, and I can't even tell where the hell they're at. I can hear most of what they're saying, but I can't make out their call sign, and I'll switch between this radio, that radio, this radio, that radio, and that radio, and whatever, radios I have at my disposal. And it's no different, really. One radio might sound nicer to my ears, but I still don't pull out the information any better. So, as far as that goes, I really don't think there's like a huge discrepancy between one radio or another, unless it's broken. So, but anyway, the one thing that, I just thought was really cool to make a video was like, because I realized that the screens are kind of similar, So let's go ahead and put an antenna on this really quick. Alright, so we have that noise in there. It could be my charger. We're going to go ahead and... These BNC connectors are a little tight. And I mean, not just a little, but they are really tight. And... you see I move it away and it goes away. I wonder if it's my flashlights. The flashlights actually have a light that stays on all the time. The end rule. I've got to do a video about that too. And it's not really for your benefit, it's for mine. Because I need to figure out how to use the end rule a little bit better. I've accidentally pushed some buttons and changed things. Okay, so we're on the dummy load. We still have no noise, so that means that we're good. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and go direct on the tuner. Now this is the reason why I switched to this tuner here, is because it has the direct mode and all that. My Heath kit doesn't have that. And as much as I like the Heath kit, like, it drives me nuts. So with this radio, you push the button here for your volume, and then you push it again for your squelch, you push it again for your RF gain. Okay, so if we're on a frequency here, we're going to look for maybe a conversation. It's about 5:30. There might be some guys on here. I forget where they talk at. It's a group in Arizona. I just particularly avoid them. And it's not that they're bad guys or anything like that. I just, I don't have anything really in common with most of them. Alright, we're going to go up. And we'll see if we can hear the wacky liberals. Looks like they're there.
It truly makes you wonder, was this thing an insider job, or how did they push this update out without even being tested? Did some bad actor get a hold of their source code, put in some type of an issue, recompile it, and push it out without anyone knowing? There's all types of questions.
I love the waterfall in this. This thing's like right up there with the 7300 and everything else, the 7610, as far as like the clarity.
To be answered by CrowdStrike for sure. And you've got more energy than me.
It's the non-SDR guys.
The
MUD.
Damon, was it worth it? Did you have a good time at the Flagstaff Hamfest?
You know, it was worth it to go see my friends and hang out, get out of the house for a day. So that part was worth it. I didn't buy anything. There wasn't anything specifically I was looking for.
Let's see. I'm gonna pull it up on the other radio.
There was one or two things I would have kept an eye out for.
So the crazy guys will be over here.
A small, like a ft710 or something. Because now I got the camera I'm selling off, 101. I listed it earlier today. And I would like to have a 12-volt, more modern radio that I could have just a microphone, a battery, or a power supply, and have something, that I could use in a backup situation that I don't have to have 120 volts.
Amen.
You know what I mean? Just something easy and simple to use that I can use, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of money on it. So if I found something used in good condition, I was looking for something like that. Didn't find anything else.
Yeah, copy that. I was wondering if you would have taken your 101 to Flagstaff to sell it, maybe, but maybe not. You probably get a better price if you put it up on the various sites to sell it. But the 710, we were working with a guy last night. He just recently released a new firmware for the 710 that allows you to do the update just like the DX10, so you can bring that thing out to 4 kilohertz. This is a brand new recent firmware update. Prior to that, the only Yaesu radio that would do that would be, Reese radio would be the DX10. So 710, man, we got this guy sounding really good, along with the parametric EQ.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Tweaking it, him at 4K. Then he turned on his amplifier, and he was 1,000% improvement from when he first turned that radio on. About, I don't know, it took about 25 minutes to do this. So 710 is a decent radio these days for sure.
Roger. Yeah, I'm just running this one in the filter mode.
I am pretty narrow on here too, and these guys are usually wider.
So I think it's set to 3 kilohertz, 100 to 3K right now.
Yeah, you're at 3 for sure. It's sounding good though for 3. That's a good 3 sound.
You hear how it changed?
Yeah, I don't want to bother anybody who's not going to be able to hear it anyways. No one here is listening wider than 3.
I listen at 4 usually and transmit at 4, but maybe not as much on this frequency, but the other frequency I definitely do.
Roger.
Who's this Roger guy?
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
So see how great this thing actually sounds?
Interested in what you guys have to say, but so there was a new update, Craig? I didn't know that for the 710. I'll have to do the
Okay, so we're gonna try to do this pretty quickly.
He said there's a new update, and he ran it. Because at first I'm like, no, you can't make the 710 go wider than 3 kilohertz. You can only make the DX10 do that. And then some other guy chimed in saying, oh yeah, you can. You just download the latest firmware. So there you go. There's a new firmware update supposedly that allows you to do that.
And actually, if I look at this,
yeah, I can go wider than.
It doesn't even look
wider than 3. But maybe there is a new one. I'll
as sharp as it was on this one.
CrowdStrike. Yeah, their stock went down 11 points. That's not a good investment. Yeah, they screwed up.
So.
Well, but their stock has gone up a ton in the past 6 months, man. Their stock has gone through the roof prior to this, right? So 11 points is not a big deal. Well, I mean, it is in one day. I think it'll harm them because,
I'm trying to remember.
It was pretty blatant. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they
or 40 one way and the other on that.
2 years, but still, to drop 10% or 11%.
Yeah, I don't want that on there.
Big deal. In one day, yes.
See, this one puts it over here on the end. I think the 7300 does that too.
Blink of an eye. So, but I guess for a company like CrowdStrike that typically doesn't see this type of I've got like Google and Costco, and
So
they'll do weird things, and usually they'll go against the market, right? It's weird. Nasdaq will go up, and
let's see here.
Google will go down, or Costco, and then vice versa. It's kind of a strange phenomenon, but overall they outperform.
Let's get this thing on here ready to go.
Yeah, Damon, I don't know if you noticed, but you know that there was also an outage on Azure a couple hours before this CrowdStrike stuff hit. So when computers initially started to reboot and blue screen, people thought that was just remnants of the Azure outage. So that's also a complicated thing. That's a good one too. That happened before.
You don't hear about that. Mostly good to hear about that.
So the signal to noise ratio is much crisper on this radio, which is what I prefer. I want the signals to jump out on the waterfall. And I feel like the resolution is sharper on the display. And it has the decay right here that you can kind of see.
Yeah, I ran a Mac for my main workstation, so lots of people, I'm a contractor, but lots of people that I talk to from day to day were impacted by the CrowdStrike. But most of the stuff I do are enterprise on servers and stuff, and thank God most of our stuff is AWS. We don't have much Azure stuff, so we're okay, but a lot of customers, a lot of enterprise customers that have Azure, and they had they used CrowdStrike, they got hammered too. They got hit pretty hard. These are like big banks and stuff, man. Payrolls weren't run, direct deposits weren't made. It's quite a big issue. It's something that I haven't seen for many, many years.
Yeah, I have a feeling it was just someone uploaded the wrong code to be pushed.
No, it was not an accident, guys. They're doing a test. It's just like COVID was an accident.
Yeah, but one fumble
Anyway.
caused people to get delayed at airports, and I mean, it caused a lot of havoc.
So as you can see, there's a difference in how the display functions on this one versus like the 710.
That's crazy.
But is it the fault of? Are we really there to blame the company that pushes out the security updates, or are we there to blame how the security updates are being implemented at the individual companies? I believe there needs to be a lot more accountability at the companies being.
Alright, let's go over back to this.
And giving complete control of the security vendor.
Right. But why not send out the updates? I mean, you do.
We have all this noise in the waterfall here, which is not present on the other radio.
And we're going to send it out to.
I don't know how to get rid of it.
And do it again and make sure it's right, and then okay, it worked, and maybe even have a third check, and then send it out to everybody.
See, we can change this stuff
yeah,
here.
Complacency and laziness, and I'm sure there's costs involved as well as but who knows? Maybe they were trying to address some sort of 0 day. It's hard to say, or maybe they gave too much control to some AI function, and AI did this.
Yeah, so the whole 0 day thing, right?
It's still not that
why
sharp.
People pay big bucks for CrowdStrike, right? Because 0 day, there is no notice, right? You get hit, you don't have any time to basically secure it on your devices. So
Still have like lots of
noise. Out
noise.
there like CrowdStrike that supposedly is the best of breed to take care of those vulnerabilities, and which they have been doing pretty good up until now. I mean, up until now, I bet 99% of the average consumers out there had no idea what CrowdStrike, what that company did, right? Us in the IT space, we probably knew, but most consumers had no idea. Now it's now you say the word CrowdStrike, everyone knows what they do. Unfortunately, from this one incident, but that the thing about this though is I think CrowdStrike's got the mentality that they're too big to fail, right? If you look at the havoc that it caused across the world, you kind of get a feeling for they are a very, very important IT partner, and they do have some very, very high-profile clients across the world. They're too big to fail. At this point, I feel like they got kind of cocky about it, right? And then this is what happened. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. But I have a feeling that maybe the government's going to do some investigations here, because it took down a ton of government service too. It wasn't just the private sector; it took down public sector stuff too.
Yeah, maybe they need to break them up and have different development teams, so there's a little more diversity.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Because if it's almost like it's a monopoly, and it's a monopoly that was too complex for any of the government agencies to even begin to recognize how big it was, right?
Yep. I mean, that's one of the reasons they broke with AT&T. It was just too big.
Well, the problem with the government, Congress, I mean, they make the laws, but they don't know anything about technology because they're, most of them are 60, 70, 80 years old.
And there lies the problem, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the government's always 10 steps behind of this stuff.
So I don't know what the settings are on the other one, but there's not much we can change. We can change the peak
And
level.
of course, you got the natural pace of government, which is 1/3 the private sector.
Then it will make it do that.
Was there another station there? Go ahead.
78JSE, located in Oklahoma. And wonder if you're copying me okay. I just got a quick comment to make. But if you're not copying well, then I'll just hold it till later.
Yeah, I got a copy. Go ahead, Dick. I got a good copy.
Okay. Anyway, in regard to that, this CrowdStrike issue, this is a classic example of what
And this is just for the
we try to
display.
avoid in military defense systems known as a single point failure. This is a classic single point failure, and single point failures are to be avoided at all costs. And so I think everybody's right when they're suggesting it. It may be time to go back through and review this whole system, because it sounds like the system itself is vulnerable to a single point failure. Just based on the last few days and how long it's taking them to get it fixed. Go ahead.
Oh, I agree. There's quite a few other companies that do what CrowdStrike does, but keep in mind to do what they do, it does take a lot of resources, a lot of very, very talented people. So there's not many of them, but there's definitely more than one, that's for sure.
Sounds like one individual uploaded an upgrade